But everybody's talking about North Minneapolis right now. They're talking about Minneapolis. They're talking about Minnesota, and how egregious what happened is. And you know, we have been in so much pain in North Minneapolis, and because of the tension and the pain that people have been experiencing, and just kind of feeling like we're almost in a daze, like it's surreal. We had a staff meeting. We just told everybody come in, because our staff is located at many different partner sites. But we told them, come on in from all of the partner sites. We need to just be together, right? And we need to talk. And so we talked about how we were feeling. And many of my African-American male staff talked about, you know, the pain that they were feeling, that they had absolutely experienced police brutality in the past. We had others talking about just the pain of some of the violence that happens internally and how that's not being addressed as a part of the conversation, of feeling unsafe in our own city. And before we were done, after the hour, I noticed that none of our white staff had said anything. And clearly the African-American staff were in a lot of pain. But I knew our white staff, that they were as well. And so I asked someone white to speak up. And one of our directors did. And he cried. And he talked about his pain, you know, of being in community. And he talked about his white privilege, being white, being male, not being able to necessarily identify with the same thing that other staff members had talked about, but his desire for just a healed community too. And you know, after we were done, many of the other white staff said, thank you that you did that, because he articulated how we're feeling, and we haven't been able to say it. And they cried, so we all cried, and we all hugged. And what I will tell you is that I know that we are all wounded. And we have inherited a legacy of racism and injustice throughout America. And I'm not saying we don't know exactly what's happened in this situation, but this situation has just ripped the Band-Aid off a lot of historical pain that's still really present. You know, I mean, there was a time, and by the way, what I know for sure is that the police are not our enemy. Our enemy is disharmony, our enemy is poverty, our enemy is injustice, our enemy is discrimination, our enemy is not valuing children, not doing everything we would for somebody else's child if they don't look like mine. Actually, it's actually like a sin to not see every child as our child. What we're feeling right now is just some historical pain that keeps coming up because police brutality does happen throughout our country. It does. I know of it firsthand. My parents are from the South, and there was a time when we had legalized terrorism at the hands of police. People still remember that. There was a time in North Minneapolis where the police absolutely would not even come to North Minneapolis. This is known. An older police officer told Don, he said, yeah, we'd be on a call and a call would come through from North Minneapolis, and he was a rookie, a much older white gentleman now, and he said, and I think, well, the call just came in, aren't we gonna go? And he said his partner was saying, no, we don't go to North Minneapolis. And this was like, 25, 30 years ago. And so that is still burned. It's seared into the memory of our community. It's in the very fabric, the bark of our trees. And we've not dealt with that. And that's part of the thing that we're feeling right now, that I'm feeling, that I think we're all feeling across all racial lines. And then again, like I said, the police are not our enemy. It's painful for me because our partners in North Minneapolis have been the police. That's who sits in my living room when things happen, or we're at another neighbor's house. That Inspector Freeslaven of the 4th Precinct is everywhere. And he stops by sometimes and just says, hey, are you guys all right? So I know that police department too. And I also know that we have a community that has been besieged, and it has been by design. North Minneapolis has been neglected, and it's been neglected because it disproportionately had brown and black folks and Jewish, who left, and those who are brown and black have left as well. And so again, we've all passed this prologue. It's led us to where we are today in terms of the stage. And us being in the news today is not the first time we've been in the news. We remain in the news. Whenever people talk about the disparities around educational achievement, they talk about Minnesota. Whenever they talk about financial inequity, a research just recently came out that said that blacks in Mississippi do better than blacks in Minnesota. That our median income here had plummeted more than any other place in our country. They talked about the nationwide, they talk about the housing disparities. They talk about educational attainment, home ownership, you name it. We're not new to being in the news. But I gotta tell you, I'm actually really hopeful that we can get to the root of the problem. And we're doing it together. And it's a long-range view. People don't usually like long-range views. They want a quick fix, and I think that's what everybody's saying. What can we do right now? What can we do? And I will tell you is, let's do what we've been doing. Let's stay the course in partnership and continue to believe in each other and what we've started. Because I know you all in here are partners with us in North Minneapolis. I know you are. And what we are building through the Northside Achievement Zone is the solution. The solution, it's our children being ready for kindergarten. It's our children being loved up on by a whole community. Martin Luther King said that if you are not bent over, no one can walk on your back. And I tell you, what we're doing together is we are standing up together. And that's when we realized that it was about educational attainment. It was about supports for families. It was about not giving up on each other. And so that's what we've been doing. And that's why we're seeing the results that we're seeing. And even today, what we continue to know is that the violence that we're seeing, whether it be police, and again, the verdict is not out in this particular situation. I hope we make this bigger than this particular situation, okay? Because the problem is bigger. The domestic violence is a part of the homicides, even. All of the violence is all part of the same evil. It really is, and the same pain. But it is not the problem. It is a symptom of a greater problem. And that has been our inattention to each other and to our relationship, and believing that we cannot do this unless we do it together. My family I never had a white family at our dining table. I grew up in New Jersey, and my parents were from Jim Crow South, and they worked with a lot of white folks, but never were there any at my dining room table. Never have I had a best friend who was white. We are actually allowing race to keep us out of deep, meaningful relationships. Can you believe it? Just simply because of the color of our skin, we don't move into each other like we would if we had more affinity. And I think we've just gotten to this point in our history where we have to take our place in history. This is what I told the staff. There's a lot of stuff that we didn't cause, but this is our opportunity while we breathe to get it right. To take our place and to know that while we lived, we loved real hard. And we loved across race, across class, across sexual orientation, across all of the differences. Like the song said, love will defeat anything. And we know it will, because God is love. And so, all of us, we're gonna die. I'm turning 50 next month. And so my mortality is right there. And I know I got one foot in the grave. But the foot that's out is gonna stomp. Right. And I'm gonna stomp out injustice. And I'm gonna stomp out division. And I'm gonna stomp out misunderstanding. But I am under no illusion that I can do it by myself. It takes all of us.